Morning. The FDA is taking a careful look at alcohol-based hand sanitizers coming from Mexico. The federal agency has placed these products on a countrywide import alert. They say some of the products have been labeled as containing ethanol, but they tested positive for methanol. Officials note that methanol is not an acceptable ingredient in hand sanitizer in the U.S. According to the FDA, the substance, also known as wood alcohol, can be toxic if it is absorbed through the skin. It can also be life-threatening if ingested. The agency says sanitizers from Mexico will remain on the import alert list until they review the product's safety. And a long-awaited investigation into where the coronavirus came from will soon begin in Wuhan, China. A team of health experts under the WHO will end their quarantine on Thursday and begin their field research. They arrived in Wuhan 2 weeks ago, where they were COVID-19 swab test before going into 2 weeks of isolation.
All right, well, glad to be back with you all this morning. As for the latest numbers, Yuma County reporting 121 new cases of the virus and 8 new deaths. In Imperial County, there were 75 new cases and 0 deaths to report. And while I have your attention, even though the mobile app is a great resource, so is a new feature on our coronavirus webpage. You can access not only the numbers, but a 7-day rolling average of new cases per a 100,000 population. And if you scroll down further, there's a COVID vaccination statuses across the U.S. per state, and a lot more you can check out at kyma.com. Dominique, back to you.
Good stuff there, Gabe. Thanks. Moving on to crime news now. Sadly, there was a deadly crash in El Centro involving a 22-year-old woman from Calexico. According to California Highway Patrol, around 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning on State Route 111, the female driver collided with a Freightliner. She died there on the scene, and the other driver has minor injuries this morning. Alcohol and drugs do not appear to be a factor, and both parties were wearing their seatbelts. This crash remains under investigation. And the 2 inmates who escaped from the Arizona Department of Corrections in Florence, Arizona on Saturday appeared to have changed their appearances and attempted to rob a business in the area. Mike Pelton with more.
Taking my walk, looking at every trailer. Now, before I didn't look in the trailers. Now I'm looking in every trailer, looking for footprints.
Juan Duran isn't the only one keeping eyes on his property, just a stone's throw from the state prison in Florence. He tells me he gave armed troopers the okay to look when they came knocking on Tuesday.
Everything, my trailers in the back, I gave him permission to check my trailers in the back.
And still no sign of inmates John Sharpio and David Harmon, considered dangerous and possibly close by.
My neighbor calls every morning. You know, she's an older woman. She calls every morning. She lives by herself. And we make sure that every morning she gives us a call when she wakes up. And this morning she called us again. So we were sure that she was okay.
Local, state, and federal agencies now involved in the search, from signs overhead to boots on the ground. Authorities say Harmon and Sharpio knocked down an AC unit, accessed a tool room, taking items like a bolt cutter before escaping on Saturday.
The chief area of concern is this. Being that we haven't received a great deal of information about the subjects at this time, that they could be holed up someplace.
Neighborhoods near the prison, ground zero for the search.
If these guys were half intelligent, they'll get out of the state.
Neighbor Booker Dooley.
I have a gun by my bedside. I have shotguns in here, and when we go someplace, I put a gun in my car.
So you would be the wrong house for them to come and hide out.
Be the wrong house, you know.
Booker tells me he used to work at the prison. This escape, yet another chapter in its long history.
They'll goof up. They'll go see somebody they shouldn't go see. They'll be smart.
Well, they were smart enough to get out.
They were smart enough to get out, but, you know, we're smart enough to catch them.